Hello dear aspirants, today is 29 January and we are ready with the must-read articles for 29 January. I am 𝐼𝐞𝐥𝐜𝐻, your mentor from Prepp IAS, and I am trying to make your newspaper reading effective and fast. Okay, so let's start from front page, and we are covering both prelims and mains oriented articles. Okay, so there is new development in AI area, AI field. DeepSeek AI model jolts global tech landscape. So a new player has come, a Chinese player, a new player in the artificial intelligence race. The Chinese startup DeepSeek has come, which has launched cutting edge technology and is also is far more affordable than the US big players. Okay, so now the debate is about shifting dynamics of the global AI market, which was earlier completely under USA, right? So this comes under GS paper 3, development in the fields of IT and AI that as a UPSC aspirant you should know. Let's move to the next article, which is in the editorial page. Yeah. So this article we had covered yesterday also, right? A question of hygiene. So this is a disease that we talked in yesterday's newspaper about in text and context about Guillain-Barré syndrome. The outbreak has happened in Pune. A lot of 100 cases have been suspected. So bacterial infection is the reason. Campylobacter jejuni, a bacteria found in contaminated food and water, was found to be the reason behind the cluster of cases. There are several symptoms: vomiting, diarrhea, nausea. We have discussed yesterday also. Okay, so peripheral numbing of GBS happens, and then the paralysis. This is mainly that, right? So this talks about how urban systems like Pune, urban city like Pune, do not have such strong hygienic systems. Fragility of the scaffolding that urban systems in India are built on. So what is GBS? I'll repeat. Yesterday we did it. GBS is a rare autoimmune neurological disorder in which a person's immune system launches an attack on the peripheral nervous system, leading to tingling, weakening of muscles, numbing and paralysis in arms and legs. It happens because of viral or bacterial infections as per WHO. Generally, the incidence rate is 1 to 2 per lakh population. Okay, generally affects adult male. And this is the largest outbreak that's happened in Pune. It's the largest outbreak in India's history. Okay, so what are the treatments? Plasma exchange, intravenous immunoglobulin therapy, right? Rapid response teams in Pune are set up, and they talk. So they are, responsibilities of the duty of the local and state government to provide clean drinking water to all residents and ensure that adequate social messaging to avoid contaminated and unhygienic food. So it's also about urbanization, clean food, clean water. Okay, so let's move to also about the disease. So this article, the US immigration blocks as a self-defeating path. This talks about H1B visa. Why I have given certain importance is because India is a major user of H1B visas of USA. So we'll read only few points that is important, right? So this comes under GS paper 2, effect of policies of developed country like USA on India. So what is the idea? What is the debate going on? The debate is that over H1B visas in USA, that by restricting skilled immigration from other countries, that can lead to more jobs for native workers. Okay, that if we stop people coming from India and China, USA people will get more jobs. But this argument is not totally true, which is proven by a lot of research bodies, right? So a study by Britta Glennon has said by increasing H1B visa restrictions, companies do not hire US natives, but it accelerates foreign hiring even more. They shift to the different countries, right? So there are several research like that, which I have said that each H1B visa holder creates 1.83 additional job for native born American workers, right? So it leads to better job for natives, right? That's what they are talking about. And more than half of America's billion-dollar startups have been started by immigrants. So what is the importance of immigrants there? They have been a job provider, a big job provider, right? So cities with higher concentration of H1B workers, which has highest concentration, like Silicon Valley, they have highest number of H1B workers and they are global innovation hub. So certainly there's some relation between them, right? So up to 71% of tech workers in Silicon Valley are foreign born. Indians receive around 70% of H1B visas annually. So we are the major users of it. That's why we have talked about it. Earlier this was considered as brain drain. Now it is being looked at as brain circulation, that people who will go to USA, will work there, will learn something, will bring some intellectual knowledge back to the society. Since experience of these Indians received abroad has significantly bolstered India's tech sector and innovation ecosystem. So it's good for India also. It helps US and India both. So skill migration benefits both the sending and receiving countries, right? So Canada is also trying to do the same by, its success in attracting tech companies through its liberal immigration policies is a warning for USA here, right? So the article is saying that when H1B debate in America unfolds further, India should be ready to transform its relationship with skill migration, not merely as a talent exporter, but as a dynamic participant in global innovation networks where outward mobility generates inward flow of knowledge, capital, and innovation, right? So India should confidently stand up for itself, and if they are giving a best practice or an suggestion what India can do, a startup visa program, for instance, could attract global entrepreneurs to build in India, right? That much is sufficient for this article. Let's move to the next article. So mining politics. This article talks about mining of tungsten and how people protested because of ecological concerns and heritage concerns, and that led to ending, or they stopped the mining plan that they initiated. This comes under GS paper 3, economy, minerals, sustainable development. So what was the issue? In Naykarpatti tungsten block auction in Madurai, state cited some environmental and cultural concerns, right? So Naykarpatti was among 8 critical and strategic mineral blocks up for action by Mines Ministry. It was taken by Vedanta's Hindustan Zinc Limited, right? So presence of Aritapatti is a biodiverse heritage site, Tamil Nadu's first biodiversity heritage site in the vicinity, triggered concerns, okay? So the mining could endanger historical caves, temples, Jain temples, Tamil Brahmi scripts, and rare species. So tungsten is very important for the economy. Tungsten or wolfram, a dense lustral metal, is crucial for industries such as defense and in high technology fields, and there is no effective substitutes for tungsten, which is so important for defense material. Globally, tungsten is stockpiled. Okay, so indigenously, that is rare in India. Only 5% of tungsten mining resources are in few states: Tamil Nadu, Haryana, Uttarakhand, West Bengal, and some in Karnataka, Rajasthan, Andhra Pradesh, and Maharashtra. So there has to be some balance between environmental concerns and the strategic need for tungsten mining by adjusting the block boundary. So mining is also important for the development of such crucial sectors like defense and other advanced technology, and of course biodiversity is important. So how to find that balance is a constant struggle that people are facing. Let's move to this article. This article talks about that MEA ministry has a lot of issues. One of them is being least funded. The budget pipeline and India's foreign policy ambitions. It comes under GS paper 2. Specifically, it is mentioned ministries and department of government. So ministries are important. This ministry is important as from foreign affairs point of view also. So according to the article, MEA remains one of the least funded ministries, but India has a lot of responsibility in foreign area. That is, India is promoting itself as a global leader from leading global south. We want to strengthen ties with ASEAN nations, right? We are also engaging with Quad and creating institutions such as International Solar Alliance and Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure, CDRI, right? So India needs to have certain amount of fund to be able to lead such things, right? So MEA's current budget is 0.4% of India's overall expenditure. In 2022, the Parliamentary Standing Committee on External Affairs suggested raising this to 1%. So they have suggested, right? So there are two issues here. One is that they lack economic tools for regional integration and cooperation. You need to give money for investment, loans, grant in aid as a bigger power in South Asia. And also MEA's institutional capacity of human resource needs to be built as well, right? So these are issues that they are facing, and also Bangladesh regime, Myanmar's instability, Maldives issues, all this is giving just more obstacles for India, right? So our neighborhood first policy requires economic support amid China's growing influence. So India also aid to foreign countries declined by 10%, right? So approximately 50% of India's grant is directed to its neighborhood, mainly Bhutan. Okay, Bhutan is the largest recipient, especially in hydropower and sub-regional grid connectivity. Bangladesh is also is given aid from India, but that has also declined. So MEA needs resources for these activities and to build its institutional capacity, right? Because for a training, some amount is required. For capacity building, it is required. IFS remains chronically understaffed diplomatic corps. Right, so these are issues in international relations also, and there's also limited lateral entry efforts which hinders progress. And also our external affairs, as Jaishankar has said, track 1 has been consistently ahead of track 2 when it comes to diplomacy, foreign policy, and keeping up with the world. So track 2, which is non-governmental interactions between countries, that is lacking still in India, and we need to build some energy there. So this is about the article. It can be surely used in the mains answer. Okay, let's move to the next article. There's nothing much in the opinion page. This article is talking about the age of the child marriage, that is under Prohibition of Child Marriage Act 2006. Right, so somebody who got married as a child, as in, you know, when they were 12 or 9, so once they attain 18 age, they can get their marriage nullified till the 2 years of majority. So this article is talking about when that majority will be called for the male or female. So you should just know that there is an act, Prohibition of Child Marriage Act 2006, and nullification of the marriage is there under section 3 of PCMA. Any party who got married as a child can seek annulment of the marriage as long as the petition is filed within 2 years of attaining majority. You should know about this provision in our laws. Let's move to the next article. So this article talks about denotified tribes, the impact of classifying denotified tribes. Okay, so what has happened recently? Anthropological Survey of India and Tribal Research Institutes first time comprehensively categorized 268 denotified semi-nomadic and tribes, okay, because this was never classified before. So it is very important for India's society, and our affirmative actions that we take for reservations like vulnerable section, SC, ST, OBC. So the classification needs to be very clear for better actions to penetrate and for better benefits to be given to them, right? So for that reason, the classification has done. 3-year study was done by Anthropological Survey of India and Tribal Research Institute, and they have recommended inclusion of 179 of these communities. So this Criminal Tribe Act of 1924 was repealed in August 1949, and this they were notified as criminal had been denotified. Okay, so several commissions had been formed for this backward community. First, Backward Classes Commission headed by Lala Kalekar, then Lokur Committee in 1965, the famous Mandal Commission of 1980, Renke Commission in 2008, and IDATE Commission in 2017. All of them have noted that, especially Bhiku Ramji IDATE of the last IDATE Commission of 2017, that previous commissions had not been able to classify these communities. So the need of classification was strongly felt. So that's why this committee gave the work to the ANSI and TRI. Parliamentary Standing Committee on Social Justice and Empowerment had in December 2022 report flagged the government's inability to take necessary action on the speedy categorization of the communities, right? So when you delay in locating them, how will you, provide the benefits of prevailing schemes to SC/STs communities? So, right? So we need to locate where are these communities, in the northeast, in Andaman, or in whichever hinterland regions, right? So delay in locating them would increase their suffering, and they would not be able to get benefits of the prevailing schemes meant for the welfare of SC/STs. Now, several issues are coming. A lot of state governments are asking on what premise they have classified. So such issues we are not concerned with. We should know that classification has been done, and it rests with the report is with the special committee headed by Vice Chairperson of the Niti Aayog. Okay, so let's move to the next article. Next article is more about US, but we should just know the basics about it. That Trump's order on birthright citizenship is constitutional or not, right? So recently, Donald Trump had cancelled the citizenship that you get through the birth in the soil, right? He has cancelled it. So what is the issue going on? So birthright citizenship is a legal principle that grants automatic citizenship to individuals born within a country's territory, right? So this is enshrined in the 14th Amendment of the Constitution of USA, right? But US District Judge issued a temporary restraining order halting the enforcement of the executive order. He described it as blatantly unconstitutional. Okay, so nations worldwide largely determine citizenship through two principles. One is just solely, that is right of the soil. If somebody is born in this soil, he has certain rights over the soil. Another is just sanguinis. Sanguinis means blood, okay? Right of blood. If your family lives somewhere, you have rights in that area where your family resides. So this much is sufficient about the citizenship rights, okay? Let's move to the next article. Now, this article is important from UPSC point of view. It is important from concepts of economy, especially for prelims, and can also be related in mains. Since recently, a lot of static questions about inflation and all is being asked, right? Union budget, understanding its formulation and implication. It comes under GS paper 1, economy, prelims based facts. So there are three major components in budget. One is expenditure, one is receipts, how much we are spending, how much we are earning, and then is the deficit, which comes the gap between them, how much we are spending and how much we are earning, right? So expenditure are of two types that most of the people who have studied economy know, but newcomers might not be knowing, for whom specifically I have kept this article. So expenditure are of two types, capital expenditure and revenue expenditure. What is capital expenditure? With the purpose, it's those expenditure which has the purpose of increasing assets of a durable nature or reducing recurring liabilities, like constructing new schools, hospitals, right? These are buildings which will be useful for coming decades, okay? So it is not just a yearly expenditure. It's an expenditure which will help people for long years to come. That is capital expenditure. These are assets. What is revenue expenditure? It does not create any liabilities or assets, right? It doesn't add to assets or reduce liabilities, like payments and salaries of government workers, like teachers in the school or doctors or nurses in the hospital. Subsidies of interest payments would come under revenue expenditure. So you should know what is capital expenditure, revenue expenditure, right? Then there are receipts. Receipts is how government earn money, right? So there are three types of receipts: revenue receipts, non-debt capital receipt, debt creating capital receipts. So revenue receipts are receipts that are not associated with increase in liabilities and comprise revenue from the revenue that government receives from taxes and non-taxes, like fees of, and or railway, tickets or something. So taxes plus non-taxes revenue that government get is revenue receipt. Now, what is non-debt receipt? Non-debt receipts are receipts that do not generate any liability for the government. For example, if government had given loan to any country, or so that loan, that money we are getting back, or that disinvestment, like PSUs was a capital investment done during and after the independence. So that disinvestment money coming from it will also come in under non-debt receipts. So third is debt creating capital receipts, where we take loans or things like that. So it creates liabilities on us, right? And fiscal deficit is also defined. You should know the difference between fiscal deficit, primary deficit, and revenue deficit, right? So primary deficit is fiscal deficit minus the interest payments, okay? And revenue deficit is deducting capital expenditure from fiscal deficit. That is the amount which has gone into capital expenditure through state governments, that should be reduced and it will become effective revenue deficit. Read this article. This is important from mains point of view. And the government expenditures leads to aggregate demand in the economy, like by purchase of private goods and government sector. And currently our present fiscal rule is guided by the recommendation of N.K. Committee report. N.K. Committee report, you should know there are three policy targets that they keep: debt to GDP ratio, fiscal deficit to GDP ratio, and revenue deficit to GDP ratio. Right? Read this article, as very relevant for UPSC people. Let's move to the next article. Okay, so this is a case where choice of secular inheritance law should apply to all faiths, says Chief Justice of India. It comes under GS paper 2, fundamental rights. So what has happened? The Chief Justice of India, Sanjeev Khanna, has said that the freedom to become a non-believer, if you do not believe in your faith or any faith, choose to be governed by secular inheritance law of the country, must apply across faith. So there is a girl, Safia, who doesn't believe, who's a non-believer and is an atheist, but now since she is an atheist, her community will not give her right over her property. So this is legal vacuum, right? And there's nothing that a person like that can do. So that's what this state of affairs was a direct violation of fundamental right to believe in a religion under Article 25 of the Constitution, right? So they are working upon it. There's a legal vacuum here, but that person also has a right on the property. That's what CJI is saying. This article is continued from the front page, that Donald Trump is saying that the release of DeepSeek AI from Chinese company must be a wake-up call for our industries, US industries, as we need to be laser focused on competition to win, right? So it has already made significant waves by dethroning OpenAI's ChatGPT as highest rated free app on Apple's App Store. DeepSeek, flagship AI assistant by China. This you should know. Let's move to the next article. Yeah. So, Chief Justice of India again has talked about Supreme Court's journey reflecting evolution in rights and reach, right? So, Chief Justice of India 𝐷𝐿𝐻𝐼 was speaking at the ceremonial bench at the closure of Diamond Jubilee of the Supreme Court. So, he's saying the court's journey is mostly remarkable, but there are three challenges that he thinks is major. First is the the lot of delay in justice, a lot of pendency of cases are there, right? So the weight of areas which continues to delay justice. Second issue according to him is high litigation cost, okay? So this reduce the accessibility of justice to people, very high litigation cost. Third is that there is still falsehood practiced in the judiciary, which he thinks is an issue for justice, right? So he's appreciating Supreme Court's role in the history of India, so that it's a testament to Supreme Court's evolving role in constitutional framework. No other apex court had navigated such an expansive domain, from personal liberty to environmental issues to intellectual property to right to privacy and right to information, right? The court has also dismantled gendered stereotypes in employment. It has recognized emerging digital rights, which is very important, right? And it also has played an important role in insolvency and bankruptcy code, arbitration conciliation act, and alternative dispute resolution mechanisms, right? So these are the positives and negatives of Supreme Court or judiciary that you can mention in judiciary related questions. Okay, let's move to the next article. So this article will be coming in a few coming days of articles also, but I just want to mention ISRO is going to set for a historic 100th launch from ಶ್ರೀಹರಿಕೋಟಾ. So when was the first launch? First launch on August 10, 1979 was the experimental flight of satellite launch vehicle 3 carrying the Rohini technology payload, which was only partially successful. That was our first launch. Okay, now we are going to do our 100th launch from the Satish Dhawan Space Center in ಶ್ರೀಹರಿಕೋಟಾ, and there are several landmark missions mentioned here that you can read, and it's going to come in coming days also, right? Like PSLV Chandrayaan-1, GSLV Mark 3, and Chandrayaan-3 in 2023, which made the India first country to touch down in polar region of the moon, right? So you can read about the landmark agreements. And and also this is also just mention, you can mention an non-cardiovascular diseases or non-communicable diseases issue if it comes in GS paper 2. So the WHO is saying replace regular table salt with lower sodium salt substitutes that contain potassium, WHO, right? This comes under GS paper 2, issues related to development and management of health sector, right? So salt is an issue. Salt forces the body to retain water, so it creates high blood pressure. So that's why reducing salt consumption reduces the load on the system by decreasing the volume in the blood, thus impacting positively on blood pressure. It will also have a good effect on cardiovascular diseases and will prevent stroke and kidney diseases also, right? So reducing salt is also very important, and it has given a data. Each year 8 million deaths are associated with poor diets. 1.9 million deaths are attributed to high sodium intake, right? So reducing sodium is very important. Let's move to the next article. The last article of the day, Science and Tech, where also not much is to be taken. New study decodes when the Nicobarese people came to the island, right? Nicobar is in Andaman and Nicobar Island. It comes under GS paper 1, Unity and Diversity of India, from where our population have come, history, migration, okay? So they're talking for a long time, scientists believe that Austroasiatic ancestors of the Nicobarese community migrated to island more than 11,000 years ago. But the new study is correcting it and saying that closer look at DNA mutations are saying that they arrived at the island around 5,000 years ago, okay? And Nicobarese tribe has preserved their genetic identity without significant admixtures of different population, right? And they'll tell from where they take their native or origin. So earlier study of DNA to investigate origins of Andaman Islanders had revealed that Nicobarese community were closely linked to Southeast Asian population. Okay, so this is what this article is about. It has talked about other tribes in the Andaman and Nicobar Island, indigenous tribal groups 𝐿𝐻𝐼 and Great Andamanis preserve two ancient maternal genetic lineages. Okay, so they were Nicobarese was closely linked to Southeast Asian population. That is what you are supposed to take from this article. So that's it for today. Thank you.